Am I screen so
Perfect.
on your screen? Okay, thank you. I can see the time. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, importation is a tough activity. Speaking of import activity, or we call it like export-import field, how many of you that this field, it sounds new? Anybody? I can see several things for you. That's good. You are in the right place to know what is this activity. All right, I can see. Importation. And I'm Gayatri Atalanta that work in the medical industry. To be exact, related to the export import, but I want to highlight import things. Why? Because talking about import, basically, this is a part of when you buy something in outside, which is either, for example, Malaysia, and you bring, either you are using the flight or using a courier, you bring a description that I can tell you. Either you are bring the goods or service like IT technology, it could be the import things. This is the field that are big in Indonesia. And talking about import, how many of you know that import is really important to raise the revenue in Indonesia? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. And what is the benefit importation for Indonesia? Yes, like you raise your hand, this is for fulfill domestic needs. What's going for the important things? Import is something that you bring in the business and you can sell many things. Like nowadays, technology become big and it's a huge and give the get access to all people, and by that you can get some revenue for yourself. But for the bigger, Indonesia can get and has a big business by importation. But it's not only getting a revenue and fulfill the domestic needs, but also something that makes several people like having a bad experience. And now I'll tell you a little bit about this. I saw the news that someone, I would say the buyer, complained to customs twin bea cukai, and when I would say he buy the shoes for just 10 million, but he has to pay to the custom for almost 30 million. Have you know about this news? Anybody realize about this news? Oh no, no idea. Okay, this is the story. If you are a citizen that you are not in the under company, you has to sell or bring your stuff from Malaysia to the Indonesia using the courier. Why? Because courier will help you or assist you to submit several documents for the customs. And by that, the custom will give you the exact duty or tax for yourself. If you didn't know about this one, I would like to highlight about, this is the same, Law 17 of 2016 about the customs. This is, we call it like Undang-Undang 17 tahun 2006. This is much related about import-export. Talking about importation is really tough because Indonesia has applied a rule that we have to decrease volume of importation. Why? Because we have to raise the exporting. Indonesia has many resources to sell to abroad, to Malaysia, to UK, and anything else like Indomie. You know Indomie in several countries, and it's really hype. I now would say it's viral. And by that, why government focus on the export not import. Because import, we have a several requirement. For the first, all importation must be reported. This is the process that everyone has to be fulfilled because all the stuff that submitted into the Indonesia has to register in the system. Either you are bring a food, bring a shoes, bring a book, or anything else, you have to report it. And the part when you are reported is a really tough process because you have to submit several documents. Like what I do in a company, several documents that I always apply is related about declaration of package. Maybe this is the file new for you. And the second is something like about commercial invoice. What those are documents. For the first, declaration of package. The goods itself has to state in the document legal that you has to sign into those document, and by that you have to explain what is the goods. You have to state clearly and concise and to submit to the government. Like for the example, I work in the medical industry, so I state that I send the blood sample, and this is not really dangerous for the flight on the or the aircraft or the something that you will bring into the outside, or either otherwise you bring into from Malaysia into the Indonesia. And declaration of packets is about description about your stuffs that you bring from abroad to Indonesia. And then for the second file that I mentioned is about commercial invoice. What is that? I cannot show the document because it's kind of confidential, but I just tell the story that I have commercial invoice related about the price that you state or the receipt that you get from the shop. You have to state and put the evidence into this document. We call it like commercial invoice. And also you have to put the address yourself. And somebody sometimes didn't want to apply that because they think they want to get a low duty tax. But for Indonesia, it always has a tough process because all the stuff has to put in this document and it has to be a real amount. If you buy 10 million, you have to put evidence, the receipt, if you buy, and you have to add more in this commercial invoice. And by that, the government will calculate how many duty tax that you will pay. And for the second is about has a real value. Follow the evidence, like a brief in advance that all the stuff has to amount real for real. Why? Because if you just being wrong value, Indonesia will didn't get money. Indonesia will didn't cannot raise the revenue by that because someone and several person just mix it up the value. And that's why the news that I saw you before, it's happened. Some buyer just complained to the custom, and the custom itself has a power and regulation, of course, to set up how many duty tax that you have to pay. Because if you are not provide the evidence, you will get a bunch and big duty tax. And if you are do that, you will you will get a blacklist of your name because you are such a bring the stuff that there is no evidence on receipt or the commercial invoice by that. And for the third, relating about the importation always has a law. And everyone that want to bring something from abroad to Indonesia has to follow regulation and procedure. I remember some story that related to the shoes that I saw you, the news. It's about the logger. Logger is a tool that records temperature in blood sample. And in the past, I remember I had to face the custom directly in their office and consult many things about what happened about my stuff, why this packet stuck in the custom. And they said, I didn't follow the rules because this stuff will be rejected. This is not new stuff from abroad. This is like X stuff that you already use in abroad. Wow. I thought like, oh, the custom itself has like a spy to know about all the things stuff. Yes, it is. The government always has, I would say, another organization. They find and research about all the stuff. And by it, I just know that all the goods or the food or the tools that you bring from abroad has always a new product. You cannot put in the Indonesia as an X product, which is really, really new. And this is the product that released by another country. Instead, in the document, like I would say MSDS, this is the file that related about the originality. And after I just faced into the custom and getting some consultation and having like a solution by that, I just realized these packets will not release from the custom into myself. So what happened about the packets? And I has to pay and bring back to the origin country because these packets will not be given to me. Even I already saw, oh, this is my package. I just bring into my company. No, cannot. You cannot do this because the procedure, you have to submit document in the real data. And after that, they agree and approve, the package will release. And release means this package can you bring into your home or country or company, sorry. But after that, I have to pay, I thought 5 million from the real value, just almost like 1 million. It's such a big duty tax that I have to pay. And gladly, my company paid that. And for the fourth, was about all the staff has to pay the duty tax. Either duty tax itself is just a low price or high price you has to transfer to the government. Why? Because only by that the in country already get the revenue. And by getting the duty tax, they can build anything in Indonesia. And importation is not about you bring and buy from another country to you. It's about relating about the identity of Indonesia. And why I told to you importation is a tough activity because I prefer to choose exporting. They can raise the beneficial to get the revenue because we have to love domestic product. Why? Because in local, they already release and produce all the stuff in new. You just have to buy stuff in local. And if this stuff didn't already release in Indonesia, you just create your own stuff or just mix it in another stuff. Why? By that, you know, Indonesia enriched in many things that you can sell to abroad, not just you bring from the other country. And if you're doing that, you can optimize export field. And by that, you help your country to become bigger until you has another habit. And this is a new habit that replace on your situation. Like when you want to buy something new, you have to burn an old one. And if you have a good habit in share, you can realize that, oh my God, every single stuff that we buy is really functional. And it's not just a buy and being consumptive person. And if you do that, you just bring a garbage in your country. Just look into your cupboard, how many clothes that you buy, and just stay in there. Another habit that you can have is like buy as you need, not what you want. This is different when we talk about buy something, because if you just buy just one, oh, I have I have money, and I just buy and buy, you don't know how the functional your stuff. And by that, you're just being a consumptive person. And the last, you can raise your country by doing loving domestic product, because you just buy into the local and you pay with your money. It means you give the revenue to your country. And I would like to discuss with you, how many of you now and for now getting a new knowledge about import by my speech? Anybody? That's Mr. Olivia. Oh, that's Mr. Alpat. I guess Aulia. Okay, I want to give such a little question. Tell me one or two words. What's the word that come into your mind if you heard about import? Guess Aulia.
I'm currently thinking about like electronic devices.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, like people often buy phones from abroad and they bring it back to Indonesia, but then they have to pay for uh the customs and also another like the email thing. So it
Hmm.
makes the gadget becomes more expensive.
Thank you so much, guys. Aulia. Yes. Nowadays, I know that several people prefer to buy, like for example, iPhone from the abroad to Indonesia. And guess what? They cannot get that phone because they have to pay the duty tax, and after that, the email. It's kind of the identity number that you set up in each country. If you buy iPhone from abroad, that phone is not registered in your country, and which in Indonesia, and which means you cannot use it. That's why custom always give you a big duty tax if you want to buy import iPhone, just for example. And for another response, I want to hear from, what do you think, Toastmaster Olivia, about the importation?
Based on from your presentation, I think it's a tricky business.
Yeah, it's a tricky business. Yeah, you have many challenges if you choose to be an importer rather than exporter. How about Toastmaster Ray?
I think one word is expensive. Everything just like more expensive. Because I experienced this as well. I have a lot of friends from outside of Indonesia. They're trying to send me something as a gift or something, and they paid the tax, they paid the delivery services and stuff, but then it never came to me apparently because I need to pay the bea cukai price, which I didn't know because it's not me, right? Who bought the thing. So yeah, it's just too complicated, I think.
Yes, totally agree with Toastmaster Ray. Thank you for elaborate the information of the bottom proteins. I also has an experience by that. Even the stuff itself is just a gift. You have to pay the duty tax, and your friend in abroad cannot pay. Why? Because the bank account should be from native citizen in Indonesia, And that's why anything you bring, either a gift or just like buy something from online shop, you has to pay by yourself for the duty tax. And this is the transfer to the customs, which is the government itself. And for all the things, that's my expertise related to about import. And if you want to do import, just thinking twice, I would say, because importation is a tough activity. Back to you, Tom.
Toastmaster Gayatri, we already said about imports and exports was a really tough activity because we need to have a comprehend and deep understanding about that. Anyone agree about that? Anyone? Yes, great. Some hands up there. Okay, but Toastmaster Gayatri conquered that well and shared to us about how hard this field of work. I really like the way she explained to us, the way she conveyed the information with the presentation, and also she gave the example about someone who have the bea cukai or something like that with their shoes or something that was really expensive enough. So we as a businessman need to know about that. I think I really like she concurred it well. I thought you didn't read the situation. Let me share the screen and my screen visible.
Not yet.
Okay, here it is. I shot this one. Anyone see my
Yes.
screen?
We
Yes,
can.
I thought you didn't read the situation, but I was wrong, and I knew because this really uzon. Yes, because I thought that was a really uzon moment, but I knew just Gayatri just being Gayatri, you made it well. To make it more rap with a perfect storyteller with a longer speech, I will suggest two things. The first is about expression. You didn't need to read all the presentation, all things. You need to take it, the gestures, the explainable gestures, so we know. The second is about the slide. If the slide is only 1 until 2 or 3 slides only, you took it not informative. I think you take it the example or something like that in that slides, whilst you told a story about one point per point. Also, they will see is it the expand about the story untold from you or something like that in the presentation. I think that was a penny of my thoughts. Looking forward to listen to your longer story in the next session.